You can see this one here is cracked. I've wanted to replace these for a while, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to spend the money yet. These don't look too bad. They're old incandescent, not LED. But you can see here I actually backed into something and cracked that tail lamp. So I had to go ahead and buy the new ones. So we're going to go ahead and get those replaced today. So the replacement ones I got here are from a company called AmeriLite. I picked them up on Amazon for about 190 bucks. That is the inner part of the left side. This here is the outer part of the right side, it looks like. Yeah, so we got the other parts back there too. Haven't unwrapped those yet. But these are, like I said, from AmeriLite. They said they're good for 98s to 2005. So right off the bat here, we can see that these new ones actually don't come with the bulbs in them. So we'll have to pick up some LED bulbs. I think I have some LEDs already installed here, but we'll make sure and we'll get those installed. Looks like 2 for the outer ones. One up top here for, looks like the turn signal, and then the reverse. The center portions looks like they already have the LEDs built in. And then again, 2 for that right side here, top and bottom. And again, that middle portion looks like it already has everything on there. So what you're going to want for this job, you're going to want a ratchet here with a 10mm socket on the top, preferably a flexible head to get into some of the areas on this for those 2 bolts. You're going to want a flathead screwdriver, one that's pretty good. You can use for a pry bar as well if you have trouble getting that taillight off. It's kind of giving me a little bit of trouble. You're going to want a Phillips head screwdriver for some of the bolts. You're going to want a plastic pry tool to get off this cover here for the tailgate hitch, and you might want some gloves in case it's cold out or you don't scratch things up. All right, so taking a look here on the left hand side, we have the top screw here. We got a bottom screw here we got to get out, and then we can just kind of pull it out gently and pop it out. Looking at the new one here, you can see we have that top screw here, bottom screw here, and that's where those pins are that we'll go ahead and pop in on the new one here. Go ahead and get that top screw out. They're not going to be in there too tight, so you don't need too big of a screwdriver. We'll kind of get that one out. Then we'll go for the bottom one here. All right, coming out real easy. We'll get the rest of it by hand here. Try to pull this tail lamp out. Again, we're going to be pretty gentle as we're pulling it here. Oh, that came out pretty easy. All right. So we can see here 3 different connection ports. One at the bottom, middle, and top here. So we're going to go ahead and get those disconnected, and then we'll get on to the install. For getting these off, it's just a very simple turn to the left to loosen. Again, turn to the left, loosen. That was a little bit harder. And then again, turn to the left. So you can see here on the new one, we do have 3 ports here, up top, middle, and the bottom. The bottom one has a little cable here. So what you're going to do is actually take that bulb out and plug it directly into this connection here. That'll run right into the wiring harness. So I actually just noticed this, but when we removed the old taillight, the top came out perfectly and the bottom actually left that pin in there. So we're going to go ahead and kind of push that one out. Might take a little bit of a screwdriver or something to get it out of there. All right, so we got the left outer tail light installed. I had to take a break there, had something come up, had to leave for, but back at it. I had some trouble with this one. I thought it would pop in and kind of stay in place, but it ended up kind of going into those little slots, and then had to hold it in place while I put the screws in to get it to stay there. You can see here, there's a little bit of extra foam that's being scrunched down. You can see it right up here, and then on the outside as well. So that was kind of keeping it from kind of pushing right in place. But all right, so just a word of caution, if you are just taking these out to replace the bulbs, be careful, because on the old one the pin actually kind of popped out here. It kind of goes back into place, but now it's kind of worthless being broken off. So it looks like just some glue might hold it back into place, but just wanted to let you guys know about that. Now we're going to work on that inner light here. So we're going to pull the lift gate down. We're going to get this panel off here first. So I have here a plastic trim tool that I got pretty cheap. This one's already popped up and broken before from doing license plate removals. We're just going to be very gentle here and pop up off these pop clips, these retaining clips. The next step here is go ahead and remove these covers on here. Looks like there's 3 screws on each side. So go ahead and get that started here. Just use a Phillips head screwdriver. We get those screws off, the panel here just pops right off. We'll take a look at inside here. So it looks like we have a bolt there, bolt there we got to take off the 10 millimeter. And then I see a yellow pin, clip, a pink clip, and then another yellow clip back in there. If you can see. On the new unit, we had those where those two bolt locations were, and then we have these three kind of push pins again. So go ahead and just pry that off. Two of them, got all three. All right. That was a little bit harder than I thought it would be. All right, so it's a little bit harder than I thought it would be, but you can see here that some of that old foam was pretty stuck to that, and then the fact that it was cracked up and already broken made it a little more difficult to get off. So what we'll do is go ahead and just take a flat plastic scraper here and just get some of this excess foam stickiness off here. Time to get those bolts back on here to secure it in place. So if you don't have one of these extendable magnet things, I suggest you get one because you never know what's going to happen. I actually dropped the nut back in here. I can use this and just pick it right up. So we got our light in, I got everything connected, put back into place. Going to put that panel back on and get those three screws back in. So one thing I recommend after doing this is once you get the new light installed and get those bolts through and get that kind of clamped on there a little bit, go ahead and tighten those bolts down first. Get it lined up, get those bolts tightened down, then come back, push it up, and make sure that those pins are fully in. Make sure there's no crease here, there's no gap here along this crease. One thing I did notice is if you're taking off the original, it's going to be a lot harder, a lot more force to get it off. You still want to be gentle with it, but there's a little bit more force involved. When you put the new one in, it doesn't really go in as tight. There's a lot more of this foam shielding around the new one. This one's kind of worn down, compressed down, so it's a little bit harder to get off, and it's not as easy to get that one in there. We have our brake lights at the bottom there. We have our turn signal flashing. We have our rear reverse lights. We might end up redoing this and replacing those with LEDs, but for now this looks perfect. It looks way better than we had it before. Again, you can see here, same thing. We got our brake lights. Everything looks great. These obviously are not going to light up until we hit our brake pedal.